everyone! Welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be talking about weavings. Weaving is something that I teach my second grade students in school, and it's something that outside of school I'm really interested in weaving. I love working with yarn and other soft materials, and I would definitely consider myself a fiber artist in my spare time. So I enjoy working with things like felt and yarn and sewing and embroidering. So we're going to take a look at a few different weavings today, and then I'm going to teach you how to use some really simple materials at home to make a round weaving. So weavings like this, weaving is, sometimes they're also known as tapestries. It's where you would use a loom. So a loom is the device or the tool that you're using to create the weaving. And then when you take it off the loom, this is the result. So it's a soft, flexible material. You would normally hang it from something if it's a straight weaving like this. And then these are all different types of tassels. And so it's really fun because you think about most artwork, how you're not supposed to touch it. But fiber arts is kind of meant to be touched. And as a result, I think that's one of the reasons why I like it so much. Now, my students are pretty familiar with this device. So this is a loom. This is what we would use in school. And this is a chipboard loom, so it's a type of cardboard. The device itself is the loom. These up and down strands are the warp. And then this part that we're weaving, this is called the weft. And so I love it because all these like wonderful W words. So we always say we weave the weft through the warp to create the weaving. Today I'm going to show you how to make a different type of loom. So this one is like a regular straight loom. I'm going to show you how to make a round loom. Now, materials today. If you have yarn, awesome. Really any type of yarn is fine. It could be super old and manky, or it could be some nice fluffy yarn. It really doesn't matter. You will need something round that you can cut. So pizza circles, paper plates or styrofoam plates would work, and even like a cap, a plastic cap. So a metal juice lid, while it is round, would not work because you need to be able to cut in with scissors. So look around your house, see if you have these materials, and if you do, let's get started. All right, so to begin, you will need a round loom that you can cut. You'll need some yarn and some scissors. So to begin, we're going to mark an odd number of places where we're going to be cutting to make a slit. And so what I like to do is just kind of work your way around and keep track. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. And then take your scissors and cut a notch at each of those. After the notches are cut, I'm going to grab some masking tape because I will need that. I'm going to take my yarn, and it's for this part, we're doing the warp. So remember the warp strands on those other looms I showed you are the up and down ones. These will kind of make more of a star shape, but it's still considered the warp. So you'll want to slide it through the notch, tape the tail on the back, and then this part always gets a little tricky. You want to go straight down, and you want close to the same number on each side. So let's check. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 on this side, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on this side. Okay, so I go through here, and then I can go across the back and make an X, and I turn it a little bit, make another X, turn it, and you just keep making X's. When we do it in school, I have my students do it slightly different variation, but this way works just fine. Now you're going to get to this part and you realize you have one notch left and then nowhere else to go. So what you're going to do, go through that notch, come down, leave a tail, cut your yarn off the ball. And then I'm going to slide my finger up here and I'm going to mark it with a Sharpie. Okay, so there's my spot. I need to make a hole there. So you could use a pen, you could use scissors, you could use a knife, you know, whatever's going to work best through your material. So you're going to lift it and poke. Okay. And then remember how we did this before where we start at the bottom, kind of spread. I need to get this tail through that hole. Now at school we would have yarn needles, which would make this step work really good. At home, you might just want to use your pen to kind of poke it through. And just keep plucking until you get it through. And then when you pull tight, like see how before it didn't quite line up, but then when we pull, it like cleans it up and makes it look beautiful. Now we pull, taut, and tape the tail. Now, if you're already wondering, we are not taking the weaving off of this loom. So the other examples you saw, the straight weavings, we do take those off the loom, but these round ones, they work much better if they stay on the loom. Okay. So I'm going to take a length of yarn. In school, I teach the kids to grab one hand and pull the yarn across their body until their wingspan, their arms are spread out as wide as they can go. That's how far we normally cut yarn. But at home, you can do what you would like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of wrap the yarn up a little bit like this so it kind of makes like a little ball. And then the ball is going to have a tail. Like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift one of the warp strands and pass the ball under. It's a little fat right now, so it doesn't want to go perfectly. So I go under the first one, over the second, under the second one. And you can go either clockwise or counterclockwise. So I'm going counterclockwise. And I just keep passing the ball of yarn under every other strand until I get back to where I started. Almost there. Okay, now I'm back where I started, so I want to pause for a second. I'm going to pull my little tail through and just kind of squish it in the middle and cinch it. And then I'm going to hold my tail with my finger and pull the other strands tight. And we're just trying to lock that tail in. So I usually just try to like tuck it under that little center knot. Okay, and then we're going to continue our pattern. So let's see. If your string falls apart, you can wind it back up again. Like that. And just keep going. Now, you'll start to notice, if you're doing it correctly, that the second row is opposite of the first row. So see how the first time around I went under this strand, but now I'm in the second time around and I'm going over. That is what's going to create that checkerboard pattern. That is what's going to make it look like a weaving, and it's going to help it stay together. So it's over one, under one, over one, under one, and you just continue going. All right. And if you get tired of a color, you can cut it and you can switch. So I'm going to pause and do a few more rows on my own. All right, a couple tips for you. If you start to pull your string through too tight and you notice that your circle in the middle is starting to lift or cup to make a bowl shape, it means that you're pulling too much. So you want to, when you're pulling it through, you want to kind of be gentle. You do want to pull enough so that it lays flat like this. Like if you pull too loose, you're going to leave all these bumpies here. So you do want to pull enough so it lays flat. You can even use your fingers to kind of tuck it in. But you don't want to pull so much that it's starting to tighten it. All right, let's switch colors. So I'm going to cut, leave a little tail. And there's a couple different methods. You could tie these two together if you wanted to, and then you can just continue on with the next one. The other method is, since we're not taking this off, I just tuck the tail underneath there and it's gone. And then to start the next color, wrap your fingers around like we did before. Now you have your new ball to pass and just look where you left off. This last row I went over the strand, so that tells me I need to go under it. And I'm going to leave a little bit of a tail. Remember, for that first round, if I were to pull all the way through, the whole thing would come out. So you want to kind of be careful that first round. If you tie the two ends together, then don't need to worry about that. So it's up to you. So I just want to pull it on there. Okay, and when I get around that first time, I can tuck that tail under, and now it should be secure. So I can continue with the next color. As you go around, you might realize that your center, your wheel is going kind of closer to one side than another. You can see that happening here where this is closer. And so at some point you will stop. It also gets tighter the further out you weave, so it gets trickier to slip your bundle of yarn underneath. So go as far out as you are comfortable with. And then I just tucked my tail underneath because, again, we're not taking it off the loom, so there's no real need to try to secure it any more stably than that. As for display, if you wanted to, then you could tape a loop on the back or tie a loop to one of the notches so you could hang it. You could even tape some loose strands below to kind of create tassels. And that is our basic round weaving. Thanks so much for joining us today. I hope you enjoy it and stay creative.